What if I told you that two people born on the exact same day, living in the same city, could age 10 years differently by the time they're 60? One looks vibrant, energetic, and sharp. The other looks tired, worn down, and older than their years. The difference? It's not their genes, their diet, or even their exercise routine. It's something far more powerful, and it's completely under your control. Before you think this is just another motivational video about positive thinking, I need you to understand something. Science has proven that your mindset literally rewrites your biology. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here and on this channel, we dive deep into the science of living your best life backed by research, not just feel-good quotes. Today's video is special. We're spending the next hour uncovering 5 hidden mechanisms, 5 scientific secrets about how your mindset doesn't just influence how you feel about aging, but actually determines how your cells, your brain, and your body age at the molecular level. And here's why this matters. Every single second you spend watching this video, you're either aging faster or aging slower based on what's happening in your mind right now. That's not an exaggeration. That's biology. So here's what we're going to do. I want you to grab a notebook because I'm going to share 5 paradigm-shifting insights that will change how you think about aging forever. And at the end of each section, I'll give you a practical action step you can implement today. If you're ready to take control of how you age, smash that like button right now, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's dive into reason number 1. Reason 1. The telomere truth. Your thoughts are editing your DNA. Let's start with something that sounds like science fiction but is actually happening in your body right this second. Your thoughts are editing your DNA. Inside almost every cell in your body, there are structures called telomeres. Think of them like the plastic tips on the end of your shoelaces that protect your chromosomes from fraying and falling apart. Every time your cells divide, these telomeres get a little bit shorter. And when they get too short, that's when aging accelerates, wrinkles deepen, energy drops, disease risk skyrockets. For decades, scientists thought this was just an inevitable countdown clock. You're born with a certain length, and they just get shorter until you die. End of story. But then something remarkable happened. In 2009, Dr. Elizabeth Blackburn won the Nobel Prize for discovering that this process isn't fixed. In fact, there's an enzyme called telomerase that can actually slow down or even reverse telomere shortening. And here's where it gets wild. Your psychological state directly influences telomerase activity. Let me share 3 groundbreaking studies. Study 1. The Caregiver Study. Researchers at UCSF studied mothers caring for chronically ill children. They compared mothers who perceived their situation as overwhelmingly stressful versus those who, despite similar circumstances, maintained a sense of control and meaning. The high-stress perception group, their telomeres were shorter by the equivalent of 10 years of additional aging. Same situation, different mindset, a decade of biological difference. Study 2. The Meditation Study. A study published in the journal Psychoneuroendocrine found that people who practiced intensive meditation for just 3 weeks showed a 30% increase in telomerase activity compared to controls. Their thoughts literally activated the enzyme that protects their DNA. Study 3. The Purpose Study. Research from Rush University Medical Center followed over 1,200 older adults and found that those with a strong sense of purpose in life were significantly less likely to develop Alzheimer's disease and showed better cognitive function. The mechanism? Stronger, more protected telomeres. I want to share a personal story here. 3 years ago, I was burning out. I was working 80-hour weeks, constantly stressed. feeling like I was on a treadmill to nowhere. I looked in the mirror one day and barely recognized myself. I looked exhausted, and I felt 10 years older than I was. That's when I came across this research on telomeres. And I realized I wasn't just feeling older. I was literally at the cellular level aging faster because of my mental state. So I made a change. Not a huge one at first, just 10 minutes of meditation every morning and a conscious decision to reframe stress as a challenge rather than a threat. Within 6 months, friends were asking me what I was doing differently. I had more energy, I looked better, and I felt younger. That's the power of understanding this connection. Here's what most people don't realize. You can't see your telomeres. You can't feel them shortening. So we go through life thinking our mindset is just about our mood or our motivation. But every time you catastrophize, every time you feel helpless, every time you marinate in chronic stress, you're sending signals to your cells to age faster. The beautiful flip side? Every time you practice gratitude, every time you find meaning in difficulty, every time you meditate or engage in activities that bring you joy, you're telling your cells to protect themselves, to activate that telomerase to age more slowly. Okay, action step number 1. I want you to do this right now. Think about one area of your life where you feel stressed or overwhelmed. Now, instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" Or, "How can I grow through this?" Write it down. The simple reframe from victim to student literally changes your stress response and protects your telomeres. Do this practice once a day for the next 30 days, and you'll be programming your cells to age slower. All right, that's reason number 1. Let's move to reason number 2, which might surprise you even more. Reason 2, the perception paradox: you age how you expect to age. Here's a question. If I could tell you your exact age without knowing when you were born, without any medical tests, just by asking you one question, would you believe me? Because scientists have found that they can predict your biological age, your health outcomes, even how long you'll live, just by understanding how you perceive aging itself. In 1979, Harvard psychologist Ellen Langer conducted one of the most fascinating experiments in the history of aging research. She took a group of men in their 70s and 80s and brought them to a retreat center that had been retrofitted to look exactly like 1959, 2 decades earlier. Everything was from 1959. The magazines, the music, the TV shows, the decor. And here's the key. She didn't ask them to reminisce about being younger. She asked them to actually be younger, to act as if it were 1959. And they were the age they were back then. For 1 week, these elderly men lived as their younger selves. They talked about current events from 1959. They took care of themselves without help. They made their own decisions. The results? Absolutely stunning. After just 1 week, these men showed improvements in physical strength, flexibility, posture, perception, cognition, and even vision. Independent. Judges looking at before and after photos said the men looked noticeably younger. They literally turned back their biological clock by changing their psychological perception of their age. But it goes even deeper than that. Yale researcher Becca Levy has spent decades studying what she calls age stereotypes, the beliefs we hold about what it means to get older. In one longitudinal study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, she followed over 650 people for 23 years. Here's what she found. People with more positive perceptions of aging lived 7.5 years longer than those with negative perceptions. That's more than the longevity benefit from low blood pressure, low cholesterol, maintaining a healthy weight, not smoking, and exercising regularly combined. Let that sink in. How you think about aging has a bigger impact. on your longevity than whether you exercise or not. Dr. Levy developed something called stereotype embodiment theory, which explains how this works. Basically, from the time we're young, we absorb cultural messages about aging that it means decline, loss, irrelevance, being a burden. These beliefs sit in our subconscious for decades. Then, as we get older, we unconsciously embody these stereotypes. We start to walk slower because that's what old people do. We stop trying new things because old dogs can't learn new tricks, right? We accept memory lapses as inevitable. We withdraw from social activities. These behaviors then create a self-fulfilling prophecy. We literally age ourselves into the stereotype we've been carrying around our whole lives. Think about the people you know who are aging really well. I bet they have something in common. They don't act their age. They have a certain youthfulness in their attitude. I'm reminded of my grandmother, who just turned 82. She still travels internationally. She learns new recipes every month. She's on social media more than I am. When you ask her how old she feels, she says about 60 on a good day, maybe 70 on a tough one. Compare that to someone I used to work with who retired at 62. Within a year of retirement, he seemed to age 10 years. Why? Because his identity was his career, and once that ended, he adopted the mindset that his productive life was over. He started saying things like, "Well, I'm old now." This is just what happens when you get old. Same decade of life, completely different aging trajectories. So how does this actually work biologically? When you hold negative beliefs about aging, your body experiences that as stress. And chronic stress, as we talked about with telomeres, ages you faster. It increases inflammation, weakens your immune system, and impairs your cognitive function. But there's another mechanism. Your beliefs shape your behaviors. If you believe aging means inevitable decline, you stop challenging yourself. You avoid physical activity because you might get hurt. You don't learn new skills because you think you can't, and because you stop doing these things, you actually do decline faster. It's like deciding you're too old to exercise, then losing muscle mass and mobility, then saying, "See, I told you I was too old." You created the outcome you expected. There are essentially three mindsets about aging that researchers have identified. The decline mindset. Aging is all downhill. Getting older means losing your health, your sharpness, your vitality. People with this mindset tend to disengage from life as they age. The acceptance mindset. Aging has its challenges, but it's natural and inevitable. You just have to accept it. This is better than the decline mindset, but it's still somewhat passive. The growth mindset. Aging brings challenges. Yes, but it also brings wisdom, freedom, perspective, and new opportunities. People with this mindset see aging as a continuing journey of growth and development. Guess which group lives longest, stays healthiest, and reports the highest life satisfaction? You got it, the growth mindset group. Here's your action step for this section. I want you to do a mindset audit. Grab a piece of paper and complete these sentences honestly. Getting older means, people my age should, I'm too old to. Look at your answers. Do they reflect decline, acceptance, or growth? Be honest with yourself. There's no judgment here. Most of us have absorbed negative age stereotypes without even realizing it. Now, I want you to rewrite those sentences from a growth mindset perspective. For example, instead of getting older means slowing down, try getting older means having the wisdom to focus on what matters. Instead of people my age should take it easy, try people my age should pursue what brings them alive. Instead of I'm too old to start a new career, try I'm at the perfect age to start a new career with all my experience and clarity. Post one of your reframes in the comments below. Let's create a community that's rewriting the script on aging together. All right, we're 2 reasons in, And we're about to get to something that shocked me when I first learned about it: how your social connections literally change your gene expression. Let's dive into reason number 3. Reason 3. The loneliness epidemic. Your relationships are regulating your genes. Pop quiz. What do you think is worse for your health: smoking 15 cigarettes a day or being lonely? If you said smoking, you're wrong. Research shows that chronic loneliness is as damaging to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes daily, and it increases your risk of premature death by 26%. But here's what's really fascinating. It's not about how many people you know or how often you see them. It's about the quality of your connections and your mindset about those connections. And this brings us to one of the most powerful hidden reasons: your mindset determines how you age. Dr. Steve Cole, a researcher at UCLA, has pioneered work on what he calls social genomics, how our social environment and our perception of that environment literally turns genes on and off. He discovered something called the conserved transcriptional response to adversity, or CTRA. When you feel socially isolated or threatened, your body activates an ancient genetic program. This program does two things. 1. It ramps up inflammation, preparing your body for wound healing and infection. 2. It decreases antiviral responses and antibody production. This made sense for our ancestors. If you were isolated from the tribe, you were probably in danger, likely to get into fights or be attacked by predators. So your body prepared for physical threats. But here's the problem. Your body can't tell the difference between being alone in a dangerous, prehistoric world and feeling lonely while scrolling through social media in your apartment. The same genetic program activates. Let's talk about why this matters for aging. Inflammation is like fire in your body. A little bit is good. It helps you heal from injuries and fight off infections. But chronic inflammation is like a slow burn that damages everything it touches: your arteries, your brain, your joints, your organs. Chronic inflammation is now recognized as a root cause of almost every age-related disease: heart disease, Alzheimer's, diabetes, cancer, arthritis. Scientists even have a name for it: inflammaging, inflammation-driven aging. And get this, feeling lonely or socially disconnected activates inflammation more powerfully than many other stressors. It's literally aging you at the genetic level. But here's where your mindset comes in, and this is crucial. It's not just about whether you're alone. It's about whether you FEEL alone. A study published in the journal Psychoneuroendocrine compared 3 groups. 1. People who were socially isolated and felt lonely. 2. People who were socially isolated but didn't feel lonely. They were content with solitude. 3. People who were socially connected but felt lonely anyway. Can you guess which group showed the worst health outcomes and the most inflammation? It wasn't Group 1 or Group 2. It was Group 3, people who were surrounded by others but still felt disconnected. This tells us something profound. Loneliness is a perception, not a circumstance. And that perception is what triggers the inflammatory response that ages you faster. This brings us to the blue zones regions of the world where people regularly live past 100 in good health. Places like Okinawa, Japan, Sardinia, Italy, and Nicoya, Costa Rica. Researchers have identified 9 factors these places have in common, and one of the most important is what they call right tribe: being surrounded by people who support healthy behaviors and provide a sense of belonging. But here's what's interesting. It's not that these centenarians have huge social networks. Some of them do, some don't. What they all have is a sense of mattering, of belonging, of being valued, of having purpose within their community. They have deep, meaningful connections, even if they're limited in number. In Okinawa, they have a concept called Moe, a small group of friends who commit to each other for life. Your Moe is your emotional and social support system. And this sense of committed belonging appears to be a key factor in their extraordinary longevity. Now here's something that surprised researchers. The direction of your social connections matters. Studies show that giving support is actually more beneficial for your health and longevity than receiving support. A study from the University of Michigan followed older adults for 5 years and found that providing support to others reduced mortality risk, but receiving support didn't have the same effect. Why? Because when you're giving, whether it's your time, your attention, your help, you feel purposeful, valuable, and connected. That mindset shift changes your stress response and inflammation profile. This is why volunteering is so strongly associated with healthy aging. It's not just about staying active. It's about the mindset of contribution and connection. I want to share something personal here. A few years ago, I went through a period where I felt incredibly lonely despite being surrounded by people. I had colleagues, acquaintances, a decent social media following, but I felt deeply disconnected. I remember sitting at a dinner party with a dozen people, laughing and talking, and feeling completely alone. It was like I was watching my life from behind a glass wall. That's when I realized I had quantity but not quality. I had connections but not belonging. And I could feel it affecting me physically. I was tired all the time, getting sick more often, feeling older than my years. So I made a decision. Instead of trying to expand my social circle, I deepened the connections I already had. I reached out to 3 people I cared about but hadn't connected with deeply in a while. I scheduled regular calls. I got vulnerable. I shared what I was going through instead of keeping up appearances. And I started volunteering at a local literacy program, teaching adults how to read. Within a few months, everything changed. I felt energized, purposeful, connected. And here's the thing. I wasn't seeing more people or spending more time socializing. I was connecting more meaningfully and contributing more generously. That shift in mindset and behavior literally changed my biology. There's another mindset trap that creates the perception of loneliness in our modern world: social comparison, especially through social media. When you're constantly comparing your real life to everyone else's highlight reel, you can feel lonely even in a crowd. You feel like everyone else has these amazing connections and experiences, and you're missing out. This comparative loneliness triggers the same inflammatory response as actual social isolation. Your genes don't know you're comparing yourself to a curated Instagram feed. They just know you feel like you don't belong, and they activate the stress response. The antidote? Gratitude and presence. Instead of comparing your connections to others, appreciate the ones you have. Instead of focusing on quantity, focus on quality. Instead of thinking about what you're missing, engage fully with what's in front of you. Okay, here's your action step for reason number 3. And this one is going to push you out of your comfort zone a little bit. I want you to identify one relationship in your life that could be deeper, someone you care about but haven't really connected with on a meaningful level recently. Maybe it's a family member, an old friend, or even a neighbor. This week, reach out to that person. But here's the key. Don't just send a quick text or a "how are you" message. Actually call them or meet up with them. And in that conversation, practice vulnerable connection. Share something real about your life and ask them a question that goes beneath the surface. For example, instead of "how's work?" try "what's been the most meaningful part of your week?" or "what's something you're working through right now?" This practice of deep connection is like medicine for your genes. It tells your body you belong, you matter, and you're not alone in this world. And that signal reverses the inflammatory aging response. If you do this action step, drop a comment and let me know how it went. I'd love to hear your stories. All right, we're more than halfway through, and we're about to tackle something that most people don't realize is a mindset issue at all. How the way you think about stress is either killing you or making you stronger. Let's get into reason number 4. Reason 4. The stress paradox. It's not the stress. It's how you think about it. For decades, we've been told the same message. Stress is bad. Stress kills. Reduce your stress, practice stress management, avoid stressful situations. The message is clear: stress is the enemy of health and longevity. But what if that entire narrative is wrong? Or at least, what if it's incomplete? Because cutting-edge research shows that stress itself isn't what ages you. It's your mindset about stress that determines whether it harms you or helps you. In 1998, researchers at the University of Wisconsin conducted a study that would completely change how we understand stress. They followed 30,000 Americans for 8 years, tracking their stress levels and their beliefs about whether stress was harmful to their health. At the end of 8 years, they looked at who died. People who experienced high levels of stress had a 43% increased risk of death, but only if they also believed that stress was harmful to their health. People who experienced high levels of stress but did not believe it was harmful had the lowest risk of death of anyone in the study, even lower than people who experienced minimal stress. The researchers concluded that 182,000 Americans may have died prematurely over those 8 years, not from stress itself, but from the belief that stress was harming them. Think about that. Your belief about stress is literally a matter of life and death. Here's what happens biologically. When you encounter a stressor, your body can respond in 2 very different ways. The threat response. When you perceive stress as harmful or overwhelming, your body activates the threat response. Your blood vessels constrict. Your heart rate increases in a way that's cardiovascular damaging. Cortisol floods your system, and your body essentially goes into panic mode. This is the stress response that ages you. It increases inflammation, damages your arteries, impairs your immune function, and shrinks your brain. The challenge response. But when you perceive stress as a challenge, something difficult but manageable, something that will help you grow, your body activates a completely different response. Your blood vessels stay open. Your heart rate still increases, but in a cardiovascular protective way, similar to what happens during exercise, and you release hormones like DHEA that help you learn and grow from the experience. This is the stress response that strengthens you. Same stressor, same person, different mindset, completely different biological outcome. Health psychologist Kelly McGonigal has done extensive work on what she calls stress mindset. In her research, she's found that when you view stress as enhancing rather than debilitating, you perform better under pressure, show less anxiety and depression, have better cardiovascular health, maintain cognitive function better as you age, report higher life satisfaction. In one study, students were taught that stress could enhance performance by sharpening their focus and energizing their efforts. During exam period, these students showed the challenge response, physiologically better, cardiovascular profiles, and better performance compared to students who viewed stress as debilitating. But there's another layer to this. Stress is more manageable when it's meaningful. Dr. Alia Crum at Stanford has found that people who engage in stressful activities that align with their values and goals experience less of the negative health effects of stress. The stress of training for a marathon feels different than the stress of a job you hate. The stress of starting a business you're passionate about feels different than the stress of financial problems with no solution in sight. It's not that meaningful stress doesn't activate your stress response, it does. But when you find meaning in the difficulty, Your mindset shifts from "this is harming me" to "this is hard, but it matters," and that shift completely changes how your body responds. This connects beautifully with Carol Dweck's research on growth mindset. People with a growth mindset believe that challenges, effort, and even failure are opportunities to learn and improve. People with a fixed mindset believe that difficulties reveal your limitations. When you face stress with a growth mindset, you're more likely to see it as a challenge rather than a threat. You think, "This is hard, but I can figure it out." "This is uncomfortable, but I'm developing resilience." "This is stressful, but I'm learning something valuable." That reframe activates the challenge, response, and protects you from the harmful effects of stress. I'll give you a personal example. When I was writing my first book, I was incredibly stressed. I had a deadline, I was working full-time, I wasn't sleeping enough, and I kept thinking, "This stress is going to make me sick. I'm burning myself out. This can't be healthy." And you know what? I did get sick. Multiple times during that period. I was exhausted, I looked haggard, and I felt like I was aging rapidly. Fast forward to my second book. Same amount of work, same deadline pressure, arguably more stress because the stakes were higher. But I had learned about stress mindset by then. So I consciously reframed it. Instead of thinking, "This stress is harming me," I thought, "My body is mobilizing energy to help me perform. My heart is pounding because I'm doing something that matters. This discomfort is part of creating something meaningful," and the difference was night and day. I didn't get sick. I had energy. I actually enjoyed the intensity of it. Same stress level, different mindset, completely different physical experience. Here's what most people don't realize. Moderate stress is actually beneficial for longevity. Studies on everything, from caloric restriction to cold exposure to physical exercise, show that mild stressors, what scientists call hormetic stress, actually strengthen your body and slow aging. The key word is moderate, and the key factor is mindset. When you view stress as a challenge that helps you grow, you're more likely to engage with it at a level that strengthens, rather than overwhelms you. All right, action step for reason number 4. The next time you feel stressed, your heart racing, your palms sweating, that sense of pressure, I want you to pause and do this exercise. Say to yourself, "My body is mobilizing energy to help me meet this challenge. My stress response is preparing me to perform. This is my body helping me, not harming me." Then take 3 deep breaths and ask yourself, what's the growth opportunity here? What can I learn from this? How will facing this challenge make me stronger? This simple mindset shift can literally change your stress response from threat to challenge, protecting your cardiovascular system and slowing the aging process. Try it this week and notice what happens. How does your body feel? How do you perform? Drop a comment and let me know. We've got one more reason to cover, and it might be the most powerful one of all. Let's dive into reason number 5. Reason 5. The purpose prescription, your why, is your anti-aging medicine. I want to tell you about 2 men in Japan. Both were 72 years old. Both retired around the same time. Both were in reasonably good health. 5 years later, one was thriving, active, healthy, engaged in life. The other had passed away. What was the difference? The first man had ikigai. The second didn't. Ikigai is a Japanese concept that roughly translates to a reason for being. Your purpose, your why. The thing that gets you out of bed in the morning. And research shows it might be the single most powerful predictor of healthy aging. A landmark study published in the journal Psychosomatic Medicine followed over 6,000 participants for 14 years. Researchers found that people with a high sense of purpose were 23% less likely to die from any cause during the study period, had significantly lower rates of cardiovascular disease, showed better cognitive function and lower rates of Alzheimer's disease. reported higher quality of life and life satisfaction. Another study from Rush University Medical Center found that people with a greater sense of purpose had a 2.4 times reduced risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. Think about that. Having a reason to get up in the morning is more powerful than almost any drug we have for preventing age-related disease. So how does purpose actually work biologically to slow aging? There are several mechanisms. 1. Stress buffer. When you have a strong sense of purpose, daily stressors feel less threatening. Remember our discussion about stress mindset? Purpose gives you that bigger picture that helps you see challenges as temporary obstacles rather than overwhelming threats. 2. Inflammation reduction. Remember Dr. Steve Cole's work on social genomics? His research shows that people with a strong sense of purpose show lower activation of the inflammatory genes we talked about earlier. Purpose literally changes your gene expression in a way that reduces inflammaging. 3. Behavioral pathway. People with purpose engage in healthier behaviors. They exercise more, sleep better, eat better, and maintain social connections. Not because they're forcing themselves to, but because when you have something to live for, you naturally take better care of yourself. 4. Neuroplasticity. Having purpose keeps your brain engaged and growing. You're learning, adapting, creating, contributing. This stimulation maintains and even builds new neural connections, protecting against cognitive decline. This is why retirement can be so dangerous for people who don't have a sense of purpose beyond their work. Studies show that within the first year of retirement, there's an increased risk of depression, physical decline, and even mortality. But it's not retirement itself that's the problem, it's purposelessness. People who retire from work but retire to something a passion project, volunteer work, creative pursuits, family involvement often thrive in retirement. In Okinawa, one of the blue zones, they don't even have a word for retirement. They have ikigai purpose and it continues throughout life, regardless of work status. Research identifies 4 key dimensions of purpose. 1. Meaning. Understanding the significance of your life and having a coherent narrative about who you are. 2. Goals. Having aims and objectives that guide your behavior and give you direction. 3. Contribution. Feeling that your life matters to others and that you're making a positive impact. 4. Engagement. Being absorbed in activities that challenge and fulfill you. The beautiful thing is, purpose doesn't have to be some grand, world-changing mission. It can be raising your grandchildren well. It can be maintaining a beautiful garden that brings joy to your neighbors. It can be mentoring young people in your field. It can be creating art that expresses your unique perspective. What matters isn't the scale of your purpose, it's the sense that your life has meaning and direction. A lot of people say, I don't know what my purpose is. How do I find it? Here's the secret. You don't find purpose, you cultivate it. Purpose is built through action, not discovered through contemplation alone. Ask yourself these questions. 1. What activities make me lose track of time? 2. What do people often come to me for help with? 3. What problems in the world do I feel called to address even in a small way? 4. What would I do if I had 6 months to live? 5. What do I want to be remembered for? Your answers point toward your purpose. Then, the key is to take small actions aligned with those answers. Purpose emerges through engagement, not waiting for some lightning bolt of clarity. Here's your final action step. I want you to write your purpose statement. It doesn't have to be perfect. Think of it as a draft that will evolve. Complete this sentence. I exist to, or my purpose is to. It might be, I exist to help people see their potential. Or my purpose is to create beauty and joy through my art. Or I exist to raise conscious, compassionate children. Write it down. Put it somewhere you'll see it every day. Let it guide your decisions and your daily actions. And here's the thing. Having a purpose doesn't mean every day is easy or joyful. It means that even on hard days, you know why you're here. And that knowing, that sense of mattering, is literally programming your cells to thrive. If you write your purpose statement, share it in the comments. Let's inspire each other. You never know, your purpose might give someone else clarity about their own. Now, let's bring all of this together. Synthesis, bringing it all together. All right, we've covered a lot of ground in the past hour. Let's quickly recap the 5 hidden reasons your mindset determines how you age. Reason 1, the telomere truth. Your thoughts are literally editing your DNA. Every time you practice stress resilience, find meaning in difficulty, or cultivate positive emotions, you're activating telomerase and protecting the biological clock in your cells. Reason 2, the perception paradox. You age how you expect to age. Your beliefs about aging become self-fulfilling prophecies that shape your behaviors, your biology, and your longevity. The difference between a decline mindset and a growth mindset can be measured in years of healthy life. Reason 3, the loneliness epidemic. Your relationships are regulating your genes. The quality of your connections and your sense of belonging literally changes your inflammatory profile and determines whether you're aging faster or slower at the genetic level. Reason 4, the stress paradox. It's not the stress, it's how you think about it. When you view stress as a challenge rather than a threat, your body responds in a way that strengthens you instead of breaking you down. Your stress mindset is a matter of life and death. Reason 5, the purpose prescription. Your why is your anti-aging medicine. Having a sense of purpose reduces inflammation, protects your brain, buffers stress, and extends your healthy lifespan more powerfully than almost any medical intervention we have. Do you see the common thread running through all 5 of these? Your mindset isn't just influencing how you feel about aging, it's changing your biology at the deepest level. Your thoughts become chemistry. Your beliefs become biology. Your mindset becomes your medicine. This isn't motivational speaking. This isn't positive thinking fluff. This is hard science showing us that we have far more control over how we age than we ever imagined. Now I know what some of you might be thinking. This sounds great, but I'm already old. Is it too late for me? And here's the beautiful thing. It's never too late. Studies show that even people in their 70s and 80s can reverse markers of biological aging by changing their mindset and behaviors. Your cells are constantly regenerating. Your brain maintains neuroplasticity throughout life. Your telomeres can be protected at any age. Your gene expression can shift at any moment. The moment you decide to change your mindset, you begin changing your biology. So here's what I want you to do. Take the 5 action steps we've covered and integrate them into a daily practice. This is your age-proof mindset routine. Morning, 5 minutes. Read your purpose statement. Set an intention for the day based on your purpose. Practice gratitude for your body and your life. Throughout the day, when stress arises, use the stress reframe. My body is helping me meet this challenge. Seek one moment of deep connection, a real conversation, a genuine interaction. Notice your self-talk about aging and consciously shift to a growth mindset. Evening, 5 minutes. Reflect on one way you grew or contributed today. Write down one thing you're learning or one way you challenged yourself. Visualize yourself aging with vitality and purpose. This practice takes 10 minutes a day, but the impact is profound. You're literally reprogramming your cells every single day. Here's what this all means. Aging is not something that happens to you. It's something that unfolds through you, shaped by every thought, every belief, every choice you make. You can't stop time. You can't avoid all stress. You can't control everything that happens to your body, but you can control the most powerful factor in how you age, your mindset. And when you understand that, when you really internalize it, everything changes. You stop being a victim of aging and become a participant in it. You stop resigning yourself to decline and start designing your vitality. This is the revolution in aging science that nobody's talking about. We're spending billions on anti-aging creams, supplements, and procedures, when the most powerful anti-aging intervention is available to everyone, costs nothing, and can start right now, changing how you think. All right, if you've made it this far, first of all, thank you. Genuinely, you've just invested an hour in understanding how to take control of your aging process. That's powerful. Now, here's what I need you to do. First, give this video a thumbs up if you found value in it. It helps more people discover this information, and honestly, this might be some of the most important research we can share with the world. Second, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. We dive deep into science-backed strategies for living your best life, and there's so much more to explore together. Third, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Maybe it's a parent who's struggling with getting older. Maybe it's a friend who's stressed and burning out. Maybe it's someone who's lost their sense of purpose. This information could literally change their life, and I mean that in the most literal, biological sense. Fourth, drop a comment and let me know which of the 5 reasons resonated with you most. What's one action step you're committing to? What's your biggest takeaway from this video? I read every single comment, and I love learning from this community. If you want to go deeper, I've created a free downloadable guide that includes a detailed workbook for all 5 action steps, a 30-day age-proof mindset challenge, additional research and resources, a tracker to monitor your progress. The link is in the description below. Go grab it and let's make this practical and actionable in your life. I've also got some related videos you might want to check out next. The Science of Stress, How to Make Stress Your Superpower, where we dive even deeper into stress mindset. Finding Your Purpose, a step-by-step guide, a practical workshop on cultivating purpose at any age. The Longevity Habits of Blue Zones, exploring what the world's longest-lived people do differently. Links to those are in the cards at the end of this video and in the description. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with this thought. Every single day, you're making a choice. You're choosing how to think about your stress. You're choosing how to perceive your aging. You're choosing whether to connect deeply or stay on the surface. You're choosing whether to live with purpose or just go through the motions. You're choosing whether to believe aging means decline or growth. And those choices, moment by moment, day by day, are literally writing the story of how you age. You have more power than you think. Your mindset is your superpower. And now that you know this, you can never unknow it. The question is, what are you going to do with this knowledge? I believe in you. I believe in your capacity to age with vitality, purpose, and joy. I believe you can become one of those people who defies expectations, who gets better with age, who inspires others by how alive they are regardless of the number of years they've lived. Start today. Start right now. Your future self, your healthier, more vibrant, more purposeful future self is waiting for you to make the choice. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, keep growing, keep connecting, and keep living with purpose.